What up, what up, football fans all over the world? It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. Time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. What up, everybody? What's going on out there, man? Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I am Mac the Giants fan. This is my guy, super dope co-host Adam Costas, man. How you doing on this nice Wednesday afternoon?
It's good, man. Spring has come early. Getting a lot of sun, so you're getting outside and just being able to get out of the house early. And of course, that you need that in this era of football right now, with the off season and all the draft rumors. It drives you crazy. So I'm glad that it's sunny and I can go outside and relax.
Absolutely, man. Got a lot better weather than we had the last couple of days, man. That rain the other night, goodness gracious, that shit was something else, man. But anyway, man, welcome. We're here, just dropping in once again another season update, man. A little bit going on. New York Giants obviously have had quite a bit going on since the last time me and Adam spoke to y'all, man, and we're gonna dig a little bit into that, man. Might as well just jump right on with the New York Giants, man. The quarterback situation. Let us know how you feel about, bro.
The quarterback situation. This is how I feel about the quarterback situation. I'm just going to say a few names, and you see if you like those names. Dave Brown, Kent Graham, Danny Cannell, Daniel Jones. What do those names all have in common? They're bums, and they've been bums. And that's what happens when you don't invest in the position. You get bums. You get bums. But hey, guess what? The Giants, they shoveled out their bums, and they brought in new guys that we actually like, guys that most of us can respect. Jameis Winston was the first one. Let's talk about him real quick. Jameis Winston is not the greatest quarterback in the world, but he is a solid backup, a.k.a. a bridge quarterback if you need. And what he brings to the room, fun. We can finally hear a quarterback that exudes just confidence and oozes just aura and fun. When you listen to these interviews, Russell Wilson was brought in. We'll get into the contracts in a minute. Another guy has some pedigree, has a long career, brings some respectability to our quarterback room. And you know what I don't have to hear anymore is when we're speaking at the quarterback room. We got a guy that's intelligent, that's speaking. We have two guys that love the game of football and two great mentors. Now, let's get into their contracts real quick. We have Jameis Winston, 2 years, $8 million. Russell Williams, 10 years, excuse me, 10 million, 8 million guaranteed, $2 million base salary, 21 million in guarantees. What does this mean? It means we still need a quarterback. That's what it means. And the Giants and Giant fans have seemed to want to punt on this position. We might have a chance to draft Shedeur Sanders, and people are talking about Carter and talking about Hunter. Like, do we not recognize the teams in the playoffs year in and year out? How is Myles Garrett doing with the Browns? Okay, that's what we were talking about. How did Deion Sanders do when he was with the Atlanta Falcons? He didn't win nothing until, guess what? 49ers. Do you remember who the quarterback was, Mac, on the 49ers when he went in 94?
I believe that would be the Hall of Famer Steve Young.
Okay, right. And then he went to the Cowboys. Did they have a quarterback? I don't recall. You know?
Yeah. They had a guy, no Hall of Famer named Troy Aikman. Yeah.
Troy Aikman, another Hall of Famer. You put HOF in front of those two guys' names. Didn't you, Hall of Famer? That's what you said, right? So,
Hall of Famers.
Why? So we're sitting here, right, talking about not getting a quarterback yet. There are Hall of Fame players who go to teams who do nothing. Deion is not Deion Sanders. He don't go to the 49ers and win. He was good. He was good. He was great. He would be in the Hall of Fame. Don't get me wrong. But he wouldn't be a champion. And we'd be like, he's good. Deion Sanders was cool. Man, only if he won a championship. He'd be in those conversations. Like with Marino. Oh, man, what if he won a Super Bowl? How high would he be, right? He's one of the top 5 corners because of the championships and because he went to a team with a Hall of Fame quarterback and dominated. Even though he didn't dominate in Atlanta the same way. They didn't have the same teams. He wasn't showcased the same way. He goes to the 49ers and bang, they instantly win a Super Bowl. He goes to the Cowboys and he wins a Super Bowl. Why? Because the 2 guys under center that were on those teams were the driving force of those teams. Okay, you talk about Aikman and the triplets. He had Aikman to Irvin. They don't say Irvin to Aikman. That's not how it works. They go Young to Rice. It doesn't go Rice to Young. Those guys matter. Quarterbacks matter. Right? Let's fast forward to us right now. Okay? You look at like I said, the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett's going to the Hall of Fame. No doubt about it. Joe Thomas going to the Hall of Fame. You know what puts those guys over the top? A championship with a good quarterback. You look at the quarterbacks that have played for the Browns since 1993 when they had Vinny Testaverde. It's a list longer than my legs. Okay? Longer than probably a lot of other things. They have like 20 quarterbacks in the last 20 years. It's almost a quarterback a year. It might be more than that. Okay? That's what it means. They didn't have a quarterback that led them anywhere since Bernie Kosar. That guy's still a legend for them. Okay? Bernie Kosar. Look what Joe Burrow has done to the hapless Bengals. They were nothing, nobodies. They had the likes of, after they lost Dalton, they had John Kitna and all that. They had quarterback after quarterback. They were good. When they had Carson Palmer, they were fighting for division titles. When they had Andy Dalton, they were in the playoffs every year. When they have Joe Burrow, they go to the freaking Super Bowl. But the last 10 years, what have we done? We've done nothing. You look at the Jets. They're still trying to find their quarterback. Every year they're looking for a quarterback. Hey, they're taking swings. Because they invest in the position. The number overall 3 pick is not about getting a guy now. It's about getting a guy for the future. Why waste the knowledge in the room? You have Jameis Winston, plethora of knowledge. First round pick. First overall pick in the draft has been much maligned, bounced from team to team. He can tell you the trials and tribulations of what it's like to be a high pick and not deliver. Then you have Russell Wilson, who can give you the other perspective. A guy who's won, came out of nowhere, was defied all the odds, and has won a Lombardi, went to 2 Super Bowls, as a matter of fact. We tend to forget that.
Who, by the way, whether you like it or not, is a future Hall of Famer.
He's a future Hall of Famer. Right. So with that being said, why waste the knowledge in the room? Because we want to get cute with it about the quarterback position. Like, we look at these guys, and I'll get to Mac in a minute because I'll finish my rant and we'll dive into the draft and things. But you look at all these blue chippers, right? We look at them. Where did Reggie White go win the championship? He went to Green Bay. What do they have in Green Bay? I don't know, number 4. I don't remember his name. Wasn't he in a movie or something like that? Something about Mary? Like, this guy was a Hall of Fame quarterback. They win. They were championships with him. Was Reggie White good? Yes. But was he better? Was he better when he went to a team with a quarterback? Yes. My point is, let's not ignore the most important position on the field. And my last thing to land the plane, look at the teams in the playoffs. Look at them in the playoffs last year. We did this exercise. Me and the guy actually in the chat, Miz, we did this exercise. We'll do it right here. We went to NFL.com, and we looked at all the teams. He and I were on the phone. And there are 6 teams that don't have a quarterback that's been drafted in the first round. 6 teams. That means the other 26 teams in the league have a quarterback that's drafted in at least the first round. And we can go over the exercise right now if you don't freaking believe me. I mean, we can. I have NFL picked up. We can do that after we hear from Mac. But that's what I'm saying. Well, we want to always go and get the second-rate player. Now I'm done. Mac, your thoughts.
I don't know. You nailed it, man. Like, you nailed everything you said. I mean, I can't agree with anything said at this point. This is a position the New York Giants. You backed yourself into a position like this, and it's like you almost like still don't get. We're not a team that can just keep trying to put band-aids on shit. You had an opportunity to make franchise-changing move and get to this draft, and it's like almost like You're hearing things going around, people trying to talk themselves out of it. Like, trying to look, get Wilson. He's future Hall of Fame. He's been a great quarterback throughout the majority of his career. But let's face it, we're not getting the Seattle Seahawks, prime Russell Wilson anymore. I mean, as far as what he can offer on the field, as far as what he's doing on the field these days. But yet, like you said, just a whole lot of knowledge at the position. Very smart, very successful guy that can show a young quarterback the way. I mean, look what happened when you put G in the same room with Russell Wilson. Look what his career did. Look where his career ascended to. I mean,
Good
just
point.
think about it. I mean, like you said,
Good point.
he might not be the greatest, but you know exactly what he is. He's going to go out there and he's going to compete and he's going to give. He also has a lot of knowledge and he's willing to help the younger guys develop. So it's like if you have an opportunity, you said most likely Cam Ward's not going to be there, but you can't talk yourself out of the door, Sanders, because you're hearing what you're hearing with this narrative that's spun on now. All of a sudden, this kid can play. If you watch Colorado, the kid can play. That Colorado, for what it's worth, I think people have gotten like they got so, surrounded with the hype with the University of Colorado. You forget that team. I mean, yeah, sure. Did Deion Sanders elevate that team? Sure, he did. Did his presence elevate that team as a coach?
Was he playing the games?
But they still weren't necessarily, a fully loaded football team. Shedeur Sanders played on a team out there in Colorado. They had, all the line was terrible. Running for his life most of the time, you know what I mean? Behind a terrible O-line. So it's not like, so when you try, I don't know if you've even seen the best of what Shedeur Sanders really truly can be. Because he still played with a few, handicaps there as well. I mean, sure, he had a great player like Travis Hunter out there helping him out along the way. But at the end of the day, I know when I see a good player. I know when I see a guy that can play this game. I know what I see when I watch Shedeur Sanders. So I just feel like if you have an opportunity, you know what I mean, and he's there, you got to pull that trigger, man. Look at Buffalo, for instance. You were running off all those teams, and Buffalo is another prime example. Jim Kelly, once he retired, Buffalo went into a tailspin for years trying to find another quarterback. Tailspin.
Tyrod Taylor.
They got their guy. Hey, they got their guy Josh Allen, and now Buffalo is a top team in the league every damn year. And battling for an opportunity at a title every damn year. Josh Allen keeps them relevant.
Your point is proven right here with this comment that you just made. You just said they're relevant every year. He says, I better be quiet because I'm torn. Just want to get good, not because we're not saying we don't like Travis Hunter or Bill Carter. We're saying look what's made that franchise good. Look what turned the Buffalo Bills around. It wasn't drafting all the top defensive players. It was getting the one position that mattered the most. Continue, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You gotta lock it down. Like. The reality is, I'm good with the Giants' moves as far as bringing in a Russ Wilson and James Winston. I'm perfectly fine with that. But the reality is, they're not the future of this franchise. They're not. They're not here for the long term by no means. Is it out of the realm that Russell Wilson come out this year and maybe have some kind of resurgence this season? Sure, I guess that's possible. I mean, we do know his flat out talent, but based on what you've seen the last couple of years, it's probably not that likely, to be honest. You know what I mean? So, what are we doing, man? Like, I mean, the reality is Russell Wilson. Look, I heard somebody talking about the other day, and it's kind of a fact. Jameis Winston is not even out around. Jameis Winston can play Russell Wilson in the off season.
You never know,
and beat him out. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility. Right. You know what I mean? So. It's just like if you got an opportunity, better time to do it now, pull trigger now, because the fact that you have a Jameis Winston, the fact that you have a Russell Wilson here, you pull that trigger, and now even less going to be less pressure for Shedeur Sanders, or even if it were by miracle to be Cam Ward, to come in and have to, not have to have that pressure of jumping right in and getting thrown right into the fire. You got to stop being scared to make that move. New York Giants, you have to do it. Like you said, no, this is not any knock on Abdul Carter, no knock on Travis Hunter. But until you get the quarterback situation straightened out here, it's just going to continue to go the way it's going. I just don't understand how you can keep trying to do the same thing and keep looking for different results. Clearly doesn't work.
Well, you
You
know what's
have an
funny, Matt?
opportunity here to yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, you know what's funny that you say that is that you just said something. We look around the league, look at our own division, okay? Like Jalen Hurts, they took a swing on. Dak Prescott, they took a swing on. They built their team around their core. Jaden Daniels, they took a swing on. All these teams have these quarterbacks that they built on. Now, I'll get to Dak in a minute and Russell in a minute because people are going to say, well, Adam, they were picked in the fourth round. They weren't the first option, but we'll get to that in a minute. My point is that these guys were good. The Commanders turned their franchise around with the drafting of Jaden. If the Giants can't see that as a GM, like what he did for the franchise, regardless of position, guess what he does? And let's break it down for Shedeur Sanders. I didn't mean to cut you off, Matt, but for Shedeur Sanders, right? He's a marketing tool. You don't think we need a little swag in the room? You don't think people are going to buy jerseys with Sanders' name on it? Are you kidding me? Come on. I couldn't be happier that Daniel Jones is gone. I'm a happy Giant fan now. I'm not going out and buying a Russell Wilson jersey because that guy's not going to be here. But you get me Shedeur Sanders, I might be repping. I might be back to where Mac is. Say, I'm going to talk shit now. I have a little swagger, a little, little juice. Right? Because I know that that's what Shedeur is going to bring. I know from a fact that this is the thing that no one's talking about. And this is why I'm really mad about the Shedeur Sanders slander. And I think it's two reasons. One, his dad's name Deion Sanders. And two, just because he hasn't played in the pro days or the senior bowls or any of that stuff, right? And his bowl game was poor, right? So everyone's basing it off of those factors going in. Because if you look at it, when he was coming into the league, when we were trying to get the number one overall pick, we weren't trying to get for Cam Ward. Most people were trying to get that shit for fucking Shedeur Sanders. It wasn't until late in the game where Cam Ward has now vaulted to the top of the platform. The Giants have been on every which way they were at that game. You could say practice. You could say this. We saw them on social media. He was dapping this guy, and now you're going to tell me in the 11th hour you're going to fucking pass on him because of this? No, the man has leadership qualities. He brings respectability back to our organization. He's going to bring hope back to the organization. He's going to do a lot more than just play football. And this guy can handle that because he's done it at every program. Okay? What you're not seeing in between the cameras is the leadership quality that he is. Somebody in Colorado State went after him and told him that he was a jerk. He went out and he beat that team and he went after that guy and said, you told me I couldn't do it. We need somebody that's going to do that. We need somebody that's going to, galvanize our fan base. He said it. This is his words. You bring me in, I'm going to elevate your program. Well, you know what? Call his bluff. Say, all right, boy, welcome to New York. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. And he's going to deliver. And when he does in New York.
And not for nothing, man. This guy's been under a microscope his whole entire life.
Exactly.
Just his dad is prime time. This dude can handle it. He's ready. He's already built for the media circus that is New York, the new media. He's built for that. He's been groomed for his entire life. If anybody in the draft class is ready to step up to even that challenge alone, it's Shedeur Sanders. Look, I'm not saying like this kid, you're going to come in and he's going to have that immediate Jaden Daniels effect. You can't expect necessarily that. But at the end of the day, I know what I see when I see this kid, and I see a tremendous talent. I see a guy that's a leader. I see a guy that can step up to the face of pressure and still deliver. I just don't understand why people are all of a sudden just want to be
They're
want to shy
nitpicky,
away from him, want to downgrade on him. And we go through this every year with the
right?
draft. Want to be that team that Shador all of a sudden pass up on Shador Sanders, and then he's just lighting the league up a couple of down, and you that team that had an opportunity to get him, prime opportunity to get him. You're just watching him light up the league. Do I dare say if the New York Jets were to go get him, crosstown rivals?
Oh
That's
my
also
God.
not a
Could you
possibility
imagine?
either. If the New York Giants were to pass up on him and he would slide down to maybe them,
And the Giants
they
could
might
like,
go ahead and grab him up. How crazy would it be if he's lighting up the league for the New York Jets a couple of years down? New York Giants are sitting there, well, they're going to fix
and we have Jalen
because
Milroe doing
you
nothing.
passed up on him.
And our QB, we
Yeah,
got Tyler Shuck, and he does nothing.
you
Like,
just
so
gotta take those swings, like Adam said. Take those swings.
you got to, we got to look at this in a bigger picture. We always complain about a guy not being a leader, not having these qualities, not doing this. And this guy did that on the field, and we're sitting here now, and his stock is dropping because of what? No, there's no real explanation to it. I guarantee you this is what's going to happen. His stock is going to drop. Guess what? Friday is coming. And if he lights up his pro day, like we hope he will, right? Guess where the narrative is going to go? It's going to go from, oh man, look at how good he did on his pro day, right? Because he hasn't done anything. He hasn't run a 40. He didn't do anything. He wasn't at the Shrine Bowl. When you're sometimes out of mind, out of pocket, and people only remember you from your last game, and then they dive into the film, look what he did with programs. Sometimes a quarterback has an exponential effect on your team, not just a player effect, right? For example, case in point, we look at like Jackson Dart. People are like, oh, Jackson Dart, this, Jackson Dart, that. Why would I want a guy who's ranked going in as one of the top quarterbacks, still is a top quarterback, and go for a guy lesser quarterback who didn't perform in big games, who actually cried in games? We laughed at Caleb Williams for crying, so did Jackson Dart. I didn't see Shador Sanders crying after his losses. I mean, I'm not trying to compare guys like that, but the Giant fan needs to start to take the blinders off and take a dive with a guy. And isn't Brian Dable supposed to be a quarterback guru? So isn't this guy supposed to get the best out of the player? So why would I want to get the third best player? Now, the Giants can draft Dart at 3, let's say, and pass a bunch of Shador and say that's their guy. I'm not going to believe it. But the only way that the Giants should not get Shador is if the Browns take him. If he's there at 3 and you don't run to the podium and take him, and then you want to tell me that you're going to trade up back into the first round to get a quarterback or possibly get Shador Sanders because you want to eat double dip, it's like, I don't get it. We want to take the hardest route to get to the quarterback when there's one landing on us. Here's a point. I also called up somebody and had a discussion. I said, Justin Tuck. You know what round he was drafted in the 3rd round? O.C. Manor. You know what round he was drafted in the 2nd round? Azeez Ojulari. You know what round he was drafted in? He was a late round draft pick. So is Michael Strahan. What am I saying about this? What I'm saying is, yeah, I want a blue chip player, but I can hit on guys in the defensive side of the ball, in the front 7, a lot easier than I can hit on a quarterback in the draft. Right? You can tell me about the Drew Breeses and the Derek Carrs and a lot of the guys, the Dak Prescotts and Russell Wilsons. Russell Wilson was drafted in the 3rd round to be a backup quarterback. They had somebody in front. They'd signed Matt Flynn. He came in after he dominated Matt Flynn, right? And they were like, well, this guy's doing better than our starter. Let's put him in. We didn't expect that. Dak Prescott, that team was built for Tony Romo. He didn't come back because of a back injury. Well, guess what? They had nobody else on the roster. So they said, hey, kid, you're up. And they built an offense around him. Dak Prescott took a few times, but that's an anomaly of happening, right? Derek Carr, solid quarterback. He came in. He was going to be a starter. They had to have him work in with John Gruden with the Raiders, right? He eventually became good in that. You can find quarterbacks everywhere. All I'm trying to say is that the Giants need to just get one and take their swing, because I don't want to hear about this. This is what I don't want to hear. He's there at 3. You passed on him. He goes to the Raiders or some other team, and then another team trades up and gets Jackson Dart, and you're left holding nobody. Exactly. Why not take Shador at 1 and still keep 34, 65, 99 and 104. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to give up any assets to get the guy right in front of you. But you then want to give up assets to go get like Jalen Milroe or Jackson Dart when you could have had Shedeur Sanders right then and there. And don't we have a need? Oh, well, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson shouldn't be preventing the Giants from doing anything but drafting a quarterback. What if Shedeur Sanders comes in and outplays Russell Wilson?
Not out the realm of surprise. I mean, like I said, based off of what you've seen with Russell Wilson's play on the field the last couple of years, that's not possible. It's very, like I said, Jameis can go out there and just outperform Russell Wilson in the offseason, and you might be better suited to start Jameis Winston instead of Russell Wilson. It's none of that's out of possibility. Russell Wilson brings great wisdom and great knowledge to the quarterback room, but let's face it, we all know he's not the player that he was during his great years in Seattle. I mean, just flat out, he's not anymore. He's not that guy. He's not a top 10 quarterback anymore. He's not just, a guy that's going to, Adam just said, that should prevent you from doing what's best for the future of your franchise. He doesn't stand in the way of that. Right? It just, I don't understand. It's not rocket science here. Look around the league. Adam has laid it out eloquently. Look around the damn league and watch what goes on. You have to address that position. Teams literally, it can change the whole complexion of your team. The Bengals with Joe Burrow, they went from the number 1 overall pick to it wasn't great his rookie season when he got injured, but then the Super Bowl, his second season with the team, took him to the Super Bowl.
4,600 yards last year. And if it wasn't for that,
give me a
they
break.
Wouldn't have been in the playoffs or playoff race.
Let's face it, Joe Burrow last year, look, if it wasn't the Bengals' struggles as a team last year, Joe Burrow may have been the MVP of the league last year with the numbers he was putting up on. I think that went way under the radar last year, the season that guy actually had. I mean, let's face it. So it's just, you got to address the position. We've gone over it over and over and over again. Even as recently with Jaden Daniels. Look at the Houston Texans with C.J. Stroud. You got to address the damn position, man. Stop being scared to do what you got to do.
You can't wait for 41-year-old quarterbacks to get disgruntled with their team to then invest and say, hey, let's go get a Matthew Stafford because that's a great idea. Like, I get the mandate for the Giants trying to get Stafford. I understand it. But that still, to me, was an asinine idea because if he got injured, now you're on the hook for that money. And, you never know when the decline is going to happen with one of those older quarterbacks. But I want to address something that Scrub Zero said. Thanks for coming in and visiting us for a little bit. He said, it's easier to make the pick at 3, right? People are getting mad about trying to trade up to get the number 1 overall pick. And now we're going to be okay for trading back into the first round and giving up assets. Guess what? You're going to give up a lot of assets to move, 14 spots if you're going from 34 to 20? You're going to be giving up something more than just your 34th pick. Okay, you might be giving up the 65 and maybe a pick next year too, if they don't ask you for a first, which you probably could have given to the Titans earlier on in the offseason and gotten your quarterback. So it doesn't make sense to me to then throw that backwards, to have the backwards thinking. Well, I want Hunter here, which granted, Hunter's a great player, right? But how many great players are on bad teams that we don't talk about, like Myles Garrett, because they're on the Browns? And all the Browns do is run around in circles doing what they do. I mean, they get Kirk Cousins. They have a more legit shot to make noise, right? But we want to sit here and not address the position when we had Daniel Jones and Eli Manning. It's like Giant fans forget that we had Eli Manning. We went up and made a trade to go get that guy. And he delivered what we needed to deliver. Then we go to Daniel Jones, and the issue wasn't Daniel Jones. He was the right position. He was the wrong guy for the job. Okay? They needed a quarterback. They probably should have drafted somebody else. There was other guys on the board. You can make your assertion, or you could have waited for next year for Justin Herbert if that's the guy you wanted, and you could have drafted Josh Allen and rolled with Eli Manning, which is what they wanted to do anyways. right? So you could have done Eli Manning 2019, had a send off for him and everything, and maybe drafted a quarterback later to kind of just fill out the roster. And then you could have got Justin Herbert. Or if you wanted to, you could have said, Daniel Jones, we'll bring in Justin Herbert. You didn't. You passed on him. Then what happened was when you came in and rebuilt it, instead of saying, you know what, Daniel, we're going to bring in competition, which you never did. You never invested in the position. We reinvested in the guy who wasn't the guy in the position. And here we are now, where we could have drafted a quarterback last year where there was an excuse on the table. You had a quarterback that had bad play and two major injuries, and you had your off ramp to the contract that was a horrible contract that you signed. You had your off ramp to go do it. You decided not to do that. You decided that after you maybe couldn't have gotten a Drake May, or maybe you exhausted all the trade possibilities, that you were sticking with Daniel Jones regardless. They even said in Hard Knocks, we're going to go Daniel Weapon, right, guys? Woo! So they were sticking with Daniel Jones. And here is where, and then you had Drew Lock. So you didn't bring in any viable competition. We need to tell ourselves this. Last year, they could have brought in a viable star. They could have brought in Russell Wilson in here last year to compete for the job. They were toast smug, which we forget. They're like, you know what, Russell, you're going to be behind Daniel anyways. We don't need you, man. See ya, right? And they could have addressed this position early on in that free agency, and then they had a chance in the draft to draft a couple guys. And then they could have drafted a guy like a Spencer Rattler. Do I think he's good? No. Do I think he's better than Tommy DeVito? Yes. So you could have upgraded, your second or third quarterback position. We didn't do any of that. So now here we are. We could have lost a game to the Colts and been in this position and chose our own destiny and our own path. We didn't. We wanted to, fill the company line. John Mara, we can't be the only team in the history of the Giants to be 0-9 at home. That would be so bad. Let's go win this game. They win this game meaninglessly. And now here we are. They've been to every damn thing under Shedeur Sanders, from his shoes, from him being dapped up, all this. We're about to be in the 11th hour. Now you're going to get cold feet, and you want to do a dance about it. Let's get Carter, and then we'll come back in because the team, because Dart's not going to be there. How do you know someone's not going to take Dart? And then your plans, you have egg all over your face because you didn't anticipate, the Raiders, who might need a quarterback, might be doing the same thing because they haven't fully signed Geno Smith to a contract extension yet. So maybe they want to say, you know what, Geno, you're great. We want a guy in here that's young who can fit the bill. Sanders wasn't here, boom. Or if you want to try to get Sanders, now maybe he's the highest valued quarterback on some other people's boards. You can't just rely on a guy being there or it to be Madden and you make up a trade, because the Giants thought like this last year, and it blew up in their face with Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy. They thought at least one of those guys would be in the second round. And you know what? Other teams were like, you know what? We need a quarterback. We're taking him.
Exactly. Denver flew up the board and grabbed Bo Nix. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for stopping in. And Wells, my guy, man. Thanks for popping in. Good to see you, bro. Scrub Zero, man, right here is right on the money right now. Scrub Zero is nailing it in the comments right now, man. The big issue with Giants is any one mistake. They do continue to keep compounding each mistake, and that's how you end up in this position. Giants, exactly. They put themselves into a corner. I don't understand it. The thing with the Daniel Jones year with the draft, when you were talking about that, Adam, is if ever was a season that you say, let's just, maybe we'll try another year to get a guy, because these quarterbacks in the Giants quarterback class just aren't it. Any quarterback not named Kyler Murray in that draft class just wasn't it. I mean, clearly, as we see. Who's the quarterbacks from that draft class you remember? Kyler Murray. That's it. I mean, Gardner Minshew was in that draft class. So he's for what he is. But Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. But he wasn't – we don't know what he developed into, but he was off to a very, very –
rough start.
Very, very start of his career. You know what I mean? So I don't even really remember any other quarterbacks from that draft class. That's how bad it was.
There aren't that many.
None of them are relevant. None of them are relevant other than Kyler Murray. He's the only relevant quarterback from that draft class. So if ever was a year to Hail Mary on and say, you know what, let's just go for something while we still got Eli here one more year. Let's get him another weapon, see what happens or something. No. That's the year you want to reach for this and grab a guy like Daniel Jones, and it's just look what it's done to this franchise. Look what it's done to this franchise. Look where the Giants are sitting at right now, still in search to figure out, still trying to figure it out on the offensive side of the football in general. You don't waste the great years you can get among neighbors. Don't do it. Don't do it. just get a guy in there, man. Get somebody in there. You got an opportunity. Pull that trigger. Don't overthink it. What's going on? No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Welcome to the chat, bro. Thanks for stopping in, man. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Travis Hunter, great player. Abdul Carter, great player. Would I be upset if they were at New York Giants? Why would I be? But at the end of the day, if you got an opportunity to get Shador Sanders number 3, like I said, let's face it, I'm taking Cam Ward off the board. I think Cam Ward's getting that. I think that's it. He's going number 1, Tennessee, I think.
Well, let's play this game. Okay, we've already waxed poetic about Shador. Let's play the game that he's not on the board, so the Giants can actually make that pick that they want. Right? They don't want to force the quarterback pick, and then at that point, trade up, find out your way in. Let's play that scenario, because the scenario that we always talk about is Shador being there, them passing, which they shouldn't, but that's what they do, right? So let's talk about them. Who's left if Ward goes 1 and Shador happens to go 2? Because after his pro day on Friday, he's going to move up boards. Period. End of story. You know it, and I know it. Jackson Dart moved up boards. Everybody that's had a pro day is moving up boards, right? And now they're going to John Gruden's passing camp and all this. They're doing everything to get themselves elevated. Shador Sanders hasn't done anything. This pro day is going to tell a lot. But let's get to other people's 3rd and 4th quarterbacks. And I think it's fair to say that Mac knows a little bit about both these guys, Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe. Okay, let's talk about scheme fit for a minute. If I'm the Giants, and I can't, because I believe, I don't know about you, Mac, I believe one of the first 3 picks is going to be a quarterback for the Giants if they can't get Sanders. One of the top 3, first, second, and third round, right? I do believe that that's what they're going to have to do, because they're not going to sell me on, quarterback in the 5th round, Dylan Gabriel. Exactly. Why wouldn't the Browns select the QB? I mean, they're the Browns. Maybe they get Kirk Cousins and they know that. I don't know. But let's just say they don't. The quarterbacks in the back end, like I said, Milroe, I think Milroe does a little bit about what Dable likes to do with some of his quarterbacks. He liked with Daniel Jones to run. I don't think he has to do that, because you'll have guys in front. But you can – I talk about this with a lot of people. While I think Shador Sanders might sit until you're mathematically eliminated, I think you can incorporate Jalen Milroe into the game plan early, and have him do some RPO stuff and utilize his speed, right? Like what Atlanta did with Michael Vick when he first came into the league. They didn't quite start him out the gate. They kind of utilized him and played, and then eventually he was such a super athlete that they were like, you know what, you need to be on the field more. But when they started him out, they gave him plays here and there to kind of acclimate him, right? And of course, running that 4-3, whether you believe it or not, he still was one of the fastest players on the field. So you can utilize that, and I think that can help Dable, break a game open, right? Because I think the Giants are going to be very run heavy with Russell Wilson and how they're building their team. I think you can get a guy like a Milroe. He can kind of fit with those skill sets. Jackson Dart, can run around, can do some things. I like him. A lot of people think he's a one-read quarterback. I think the Giants do like him as well. I think he can help. I think he's a guy that probably wouldn't see the field if you have Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart, unless something catastrophic happens. I don't think he would see the field with those 2 guys in front of him. I think it would be better for him to learn. And he's young, right? He's 21, going to be 22. Sometimes age does matter in these things. If you're going to sit a guy, for example, Tyler Shuck, that guy, everybody loves him, right? He's 27. He's 26 years old going into the season. If he sits a year, next year he's going to be 27 years old. Now, a lot of people don't care about age, but it does matter if you're going to sit that guy out the gate. Like what the Browns did, they started Brandon Weeden out the gate. He was 28 years old. They thought his maturity was good, so I'm going to start him right out the gate. If you're a team like Pittsburgh, and let's say they get Atlanta, they get Aaron Rodgers, do they have a chance to sit a guy like Tyler Shuck, behind the line? Giants, who have now Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, do you want that guy to sit a year? Or because of age, I want to maximize my value and my investment, do I start him out the gate? So those are things that they might think about if they do that. And the last guy that I like that intrigues me, but some people don't like him. Is Kyle McCord's an interesting guy that I could see them taking in the later rounds as well. They got to find somebody. And I believe a lot of these quarterbacks have a lot of traits that need to be developed. So we might not see these guys all out the gate right away. And that doesn't mean they're not going to be good. A lot of them are like, oh, they're going to be backups. You can't really project guys' careers out. You can hope for the best, but I look at it as an investment in terms of round selection. That's how I determine whether you're going to be a franchise player or a starter. First 2 or 3 rounds, if you're investing a second, third, first in a guy, you expect him to have some role at some point in your team, right? So if you draft a McCord in the second or third round, sure, he doesn't contribute this year, but that's not the plan, right? The plan is to get him to be your franchise quarterback moving forward, right, and learn under these guys. So those are a couple of guys I have. I don't know if, Mac, you want to touch on some of those guys or if you have another plan or direction.
I mean, obviously, a couple of those guys, like you said, with Jackson Dart and Miro, you know what I mean? Sure. I'd be comfortable if the Giants, were able to be, if they, can't get Shador, or whatever in the first round, to come up and get one of those guys maybe in the second round or something like that, and that would be, I'd be okay with that. I just feel like, but I want like a franchise. I want something that moves the needle. This team needs something that moves the needle, that people are going to notice, And a couple of these guys, like, they've had some good workouts and everything, and everything is all well and good. But I think the New York Giants really need somebody that really can come in and truly be prepared to make an impact. Now, granted, like I said, they've kind of have, I will say, they have, I guess, with the signs of Winston and Russell Wilson, that does aid you in the fact that you don't have to sell whatever rookie you bring in here. Doesn't have to come in, like I said, and have to have that immediate impact. They get a chance to really let the game, let things develop with them. So I mean, and they'll get a chance to develop maybe properly and come up the right way without having to be forced to go have to rush in and be the savior right away. You got a couple of veteran guys out there that can definitely weather the storm, maybe even perhaps for the whole entire season. So I mean.
And maybe we should talk about those guys. We were talking about all Sorry, I can't. Yeah, sorry. I don't know if you're finished because you're cutting in and out sometimes. So my mistake. I think we should talk about Russell Wilson. I think we talked so much about what he can bring as a mentor. What is he going to bring on the field, and why I'm kind of excited that he's here. I don't know if you are, but for me, I'm back to being a Giant fan that is going to invest a little something in the team. Now, if they don't draft a quarterback, it's not going to be the same investment. But if they draft a quarterback this year, I can invest a little bit because Russell Wilson is a solid player. Is he great? No. He's lost a lot of his fastball. Is he an Aaron Rodgers? He's not. I mean, I guess they're kind of on the same level. Aaron Rodgers had a slightly better statistical year, but his team didn't go to the playoffs, so Russ's team did. You had that. And he also started more games than Russell Wilson did. Russell Wilson came in, later on in the season and had an impact. So I like what he brings to the table. Do I think he's going to be Russell Wilson of 2013? No, but I think he'll make some smart, heady plays. Like I was watching a couple of, you don't always want to watch highlights, but I was watching some highlights of games and I noticed, when he had a lane to run on like a 3rd and 9, he would go pick up the yardage, right? Or if he saw a 2nd and 5 and he moved out of the pocket, he moved enough to throw the ball, to reset himself and throw the ball downfield. And I was like, wow, he's a functional quarterback. He may not be great, but we can run an offense with this guy. We can probably hit Malik Neighbors in stride, and maybe we'll be able to hit Jalen Hyatt down the field. So, and I like that he came in and said those names right off the bat. I'm like, Jalen Hyatt. Russell Wilson's known for his moonball, right? That would be a great guy to throw a moonball to. And if he can give you what he gave you in Steeler Town, you should be competent, right? I don't want people to think Russell Wilson is the savior because that's what deters them from getting a quarterback. But what he can do for the team while he starts, and his salary – you've got a couple options. If he stinks, you can cut him. if he's doing well and a team gets injured and you have a young quarterback, you can trade him, right? You can say, you know what, Russ, love you here. We're not winning. They need a quarterback up in Minnesota. Here you go. Go enjoy a winning team or whatever it is, right? So that's what he allows. But he brings leadership. He'll be able to run in and out of offenses. You'll be able to see a deep ball every once in a while thrown downfield, which will be fun to watch. I don't know about you, Mac, but Russell, I'm not trying to fluff Russell Wilson in any way, but the quarterback is so bereft of talent. It'd just be fun to kind of see what the old guys got left, right?
Well, yeah, he's back talking about Russell Wilson. I mean, okay, when he had his introductory press conference for the New York Giants, and people dissect that thing because of especially on one particular comment he made about being a leader, about how this team needs a leader or whatever, and once he's willing to step in and take on that role, and people dissected that comment as if was that wrong thing for him to say. To me, I respected the hell out of it because he understands. He comes in already understanding the situation here. He does know what this team does need, and he's willing to take on that challenge. Another thing about Russell's opening press conference that impressed me was, like you said, the way he was running off names of these guys as if he's already been in the locker room with them. He's already been around them, working with these guys already. It was just the fact that you come in prepared, you're getting to know your teammates immediately right out of the box. You're making that effort. So to me, that's what a leader is. He's coming in taking on that role and ready to and trying to show this organization what has been missing. Because let's face it, Daniel Jones, is he really the guy that people look up to locker room as a leader of your locker room? No, he just wasn't. He wasn't that guy. Russell Wilson is the type of guy that's already embracing that role, and that's something else this team needs. They need a guy that they can truly believe in. And Russell Wilson, like you said, he's not the player he was back in the earlier 2000s when he was great years with Seattle. We all know he's not that guy on the field anymore. But you never know. You also know this guy still does have a skill set, and maybe he can turn it around for another year or two before he rides off into the sunset. At the end of the day, he is a future Hall of Fame quarterback. One day he will be in Canton, Ohio. Russell Wilson is look, he upgrades things tremendously under center. As far as Jameis Winston, he's just once again just a professional. He's a great guy to have in your locker room. I mean, he's pretty been back up for the most part. I mean, but he definitely got a legitimate starting experience, and he's got a cannon for an arm, and he's not scared to take them shots. Sure, they don't always turn out with the best result. We all know that, but he will take those shots. You don't have a gun-shy quarterback in either one of these guys, to be quite frank. Like you said something to me that I think he talked about Jalen Hyatt and he talked about Malik Neighbors. I think Wan'Dale Robinson also can really benefit from the addition of a Russell Wilson. I think we can finally maybe potentially see a better version of him as well, and his skill set probably potentially be able to the forefront a little bit more, because a lot of my issues with Daniel Jones was, I mean, sometimes you just get Wan'Dale get open in the flats and shit like that, and you're throwing the ball at his feet. Like, give me a break and get the guy opportunity to make a play. Give him an opportunity. Darius Slayton too. I mean, down the field, Darius Slayton is a burner. I mean, if he doesn't bring anything else to the table, he definitely brings that, the ability to run past defenders and gotta take those shots down, be able to take those shots down the field, and you got a couple of guys that absolutely will do that. What is going on, NFL Reality Check? AK, what is up, my guy? Welcome, good to see you up here, man. Everything is going well with you, man. So I think this is what it is. I mean, I don't want to be like, don't expect too much, because you kind of know what you're getting with Russ and Jameis. At the end of the day, the quarterback room is improved, and there's still more improvement that needs to be done. That's just the point blank in the period. You got to still think about the future and the years going forward, man. You just have to. I mean, it's just the reality of the situation that the Giants are in. You can't. But at the same time, this is a good start, good building block to be heading in the right direction. You know what I mean? It looks like we're at least heading in a better direction finally. I can honestly say that, but the draft will be telling because I want to just don't get too cute. I mean, if like I said, if you have the opportunity right there at number 3, there's no reason, like the guys were talking about earlier, like Scrubs, Adam talking about earlier. There's no reason to waste assets. Just draft a guy when he's right there and you have the opportunity to get him. Just get him, and don't overcomplicate it.
And
That's really all I got anymore about the situation.
I just want to say one more thing on this in the draft. If you do your evaluations and you find another quarterback's better than Sanders, then take that guy. Don't be afraid of the reach. Even Brian Dable kind of hinted at it today when he had his meetings the other day, where he was like, you need a quarterback. And it's like, if he's in on these quarterback meetings and he has to say, get him his guy. If he's like, you know what, I want Shedeur Sanders, don't play games, just get him, you know? But if he's not there and the Browns take him, then by all means, figure out a way to get back in the first round and get the next best guy, right? Nothing should stop you. The mission remains the same. John Mara put it out there. You've done everything that John Mara's asked. You've gotten better on defense with Javon Holland and Debo, and you beefed up the defensive front with a couple of D-line signings and Golston. You brought in a couple of linebackers on the edge to replace Azeez Ojulari. You brought in, James Hudson to help rotation on the lines. You get your best 5 guys on the line, right? They brought back the entire almost offensive staff of last year offensively. For what? What are you going to do that for to not bring in a young quarterback to build around, right? You've done everything so smart right now, Joe Shane. You've corrected a lot of wrongs. You're making a lot of people say, hey, man, maybe he's learning from his mistakes. If you don't get a guy in this draft, and I'm talking about drafting him at 3 if he's there. This is only if he's there. If you pass on him, then you might as well burn in hell, because what's going to happen is if you pass on him and he's going to end up going to some team and being good, and we're going to sit here and try to get, Riley Leonard in the 6th round because the value just didn't meet the need and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to go in there and Riley Leonard's going to stink. Shedeur Sanders is going to be holding Lombardi's. Probably some. Why should be the Cowboys draft him, right? He goes there. They trade Dak Prescott. He goes on to win Super Bowls and championships every year. And we're sitting here holding the bag because we got Riley Leonard, who, he was the best value in the 6th round. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do that anymore. Shop at Saks Avenue. Stop trying to get a bargain at Walmart on a clearance rack and saying, you know what? I'm going to do that. You only do those things when you're in dire need. If I had money to go shop at Saks Fifth Avenue, I'm going to go do it, right? Or one of those big wig stores, I would do it. I don't have the money to do it, so that's why I shop where I shop. If I had the chance to go on a spending spree somewhere, then do it. I'm not going to sit there and try to get sift through the garbage and say, well, they didn't add up. We got better players here. And then Russell Wilson goes down, and Jameis Winston, who's fun to watch, throws a ton of touchdowns, but clearly is not a starter. You go into next season. I don't want to see Tommy DeVito. I don't want to see him in the field anymore. I don't want to develop that guy. That guy has no use for me. I don't need him on the team anymore. I need a young guy that you guys, this is your last legs. There is no guarantee that if they don't bring in a quarterback this year from the draft in rounds 1, 2, and 3, I'll even give you 3 as a stretch, and that kid doesn't show promise in practice or you don't hear anything good, these guys getting fired. You're not going to bring a Riley Leonard and then go 6-11 with, or 6 and whatever the new record is, 12, 6-11 with the Russell Wilson and expect to survive. I would want your job. But if you get a young quarterback in here and you happen to be struggling and Russell Wilson is struggling, and you look down that bench and you're like, you know what? Come in, Shedeur, or come in Dart, or come in Milrow. Right? If you don't leave with any of those guys that we talk about, you should be fired on the spot on draft day. Period. This is not a game anymore. You've got to invest capital in this position. I don't want to hear people kicking the can down the road. Oh, let's wait till 2026, because guess what? We're going to do the same damn shit in 2026 that we're doing right now. We're going to be not on the cusp of getting one of the top 2 guys or 3 guys, and we're going to sit there and talk ourselves out of getting quarterback number 4. Well, we don't really need him. We really signed, Russell, who, didn't throw over that. Well, it wasn't really that good. We got him, and we got Winston. Woo, yay, let's go. Meanwhile, the other teams are lapping you because they have a guy, so they can draft BPA and splurge and take luxury picks and luxury selections because they don't need to worry about the most important position on the field. Why do you think those teams are good? Those teams are good, and they can roll the dice even when they don't. Like, look at Patrick Mahomes. They didn't have a great year this year, but they had Patrick Mahomes and they went 15-1 and to the Super Bowl. They don't do that without him. They don't do that with some Joe Schmucker in quarterback for them. They don't, period. Buffalo, they play games. He's Josh Allen, MVP of the league. Lamar Jackson, they traded up for. I mean, I can go down the list of all the teams that we talk about with quarterbacks that are picked in the first round or greater. Why? Because it's an investment. Hell, the Indianapolis Colts have 2. They have Anthony Richardson and they have Daniel Jones. Both guys, one of those guys starts. It's still a first-round pick. Sam Darnold, who left the Minnesota Vikings, is a first-round pick. You don't get many, right? The Raiders, they don't have one. Geno Smith was a second-round pick, right? The Cowboys, they have Dak Prescott. The Giants, we have Russell Wilson. The Saints have Derek Carr. And I'm sure I'm missing a few others. There's probably two more teams that I'm missing. Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, right? Again, I'm sure there's somebody else I'm missing out there. But that's 5 or 6 teams I named right then. But I can go down the list of teams right now. The Rams, Matthew Stafford, first overall pick. Let's go to you go to Seattle, first overall pick. Oh, yeah, and the 49ers with Brock Purdy. That was the other one, right? You go down to Minnesota. They drafted J.J. McCarthy. Atlanta has Michael Penix Jr., right? Like, no teams, Kirk Cousins was one of them, but he's not on a starter anymore. But you see what I'm saying? There's 5 to 7 guys. That's it. The majority of the league is first-round picks. What does that mean? Invested one. They take swings. And, oh, by the way, we have a rookie wage scale. So if the guy stinks, and you're like, oh, well, after 3 years, he's not that good. I mean, they waited 6 years to find out that Daniel Jones stunk. I think 3 more years won't be that bad with a Shedeur Sanders or, Jackson Dart of some sort. Find out if the guy is good. And if you have one, guess what? Maybe you're the Eagles. Ever since the Eagles inserted Jalen Hurts into their lineup, they were good. They took a swing on him in the second round. They had Carson Wentz. They took a swing. They did something. They don't let people in front of you on your roster. That's like this. Let me ask you this, Mac. We have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. If you like Abdul Carter, are those 2 guys stopping you from drafting him?
Absolutely not.
So then what?
Absolutely not.
So then what would Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston have you stop drafting a quarterback at 3?
Like I said, it absolutely should not. And the thing is, just because everybody now everybody wants to talk about the reaching aspect. Everybody, I mean, clearly Daniel Jones was a reach, but he was a reach in what was a bad quarterback class. This quarterback class is significantly, I think, a significantly better group of talent than that year. You know what I mean? And is Shedeur Sanders truly a reach? Like I said, he was born and bred for this shit. Stop it. Did you watch Colorado play football? Because I know I did, and I watched a young man that can ball. That's what I watched. I seen a young man that can ball, that played this game of football. That's it. I don't need to hear anything more about it. You have to tell, I know this kid has game. And now, like I said, you can bring him in. He hadn't had to get thrown to the wolves. You got a couple of guys in front of him to take the lump for right now that he can learn and get good knowledge from and learn this game even more. Just you got to think about the future here. You got to start realizing that's what the great teams do. They build for the future. You get your quarterback, and then you're filling everything else. Stop it. I mean, you watch it around the league wide. You see the other teams have doing this exact same thing. You get your guy in there. The most important position will treat it as such. That's what the problem's been with the New York Giants. You have to treat that position like it's the most important position. To me, it's still egregious. Daniel Jones' entire 6 years here with the Giants, the court never drafted another quarterback. Not one other quarterback did the New York Giants draft the entire time Daniel Jones is here. How the hell did Daniel Jones prevent you from drafting another quarterback at all the entire time? You were just bringing in undrafted free agents who knew weren't going to beat them out. It's like you were just convinced that this was your guy. No. Now you got to do what you got to do. You get those swings and you got to try and hope it hits. And if it doesn't, like Adam said, it's not like you're gonna be on for some big amount of money, some big crazy contracts. You're not gonna get what the Raiders went through with the kid a few years ago. That fucking dude broke down. He was absolute garbage. Can't even remember his fucking name now. But you don't have situations like that anymore. So it's like, come on, man, stop it. Just stop it. Just do what's best for this franchise, and what's best for this franchise is getting a quarterback for the future, man. All right, that's an hour on the New York Football Giants, man. I think we need to talk about something else, Adam, a little bit, man. But
Yes, let's go. Listen, the only reason we spent so much time on them is because we don't know when the next show is going to be, and they've done a lot of stuff, and we've got to get the message out there about what they need, right? And so we spent some time on it. But there's other teams in the NFC East, and we can definitely touch on them right now while we have a few more minutes left in the show.
I mean, look, we got the Dallas Cowboys right now. Their biggest news with the Dallas Cowboys is trying to lock down Michael Parsons. You know, rumors put in the media that they offered him a contract that would have made him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, and apparently Mike wasn't satisfied, and it's probably the wording, things going on in the contract that I don't interwork whatever. I don't know about all that technical stuff, but I know we were talking about this a little bit before the show, Adam, and I hear what you're saying about CeeDee Lamb, Prescott always ultimately sign these guys, like Zeke Elliott, the Zeke Elliott contract back years ago. But something's different about with Michael Parsons. I feel like it's just something different about this guy, and I think he can't really afford to play that same game with a guy like Michael Parsons. I'm not so sure. I think he might be on a slippery slope right now. I think he needs to understand and put some respect on Michael's name, understand the player that he has, and just know that you got to get this guy locked down. He's one of the absolute best defensive players in the NFL, and there's just no doubt about that, man. And the fact that you waited so long to get this done, now you're in the position that you're in, you got to break the bank. You got to come out your pocket, man. And unfortunately, I think that Jared Jones could be on fire here. I mean, you can express your opinions on that. I know kind of how you feel about it, but
Well, I think that, they're negotiating in the media right now. I mean, let's be real. They signed CeeDee Lamb. He was going to hold out. They got that done. Oh, the Cowboys aren't going to sign him. Dak Prescott, they had to pay him. They got it done. So I'm not too worried about Michael Parsons leaving right now. Because I think they know the magnitude of what he is. And watch him have a beast of a year, right? I think Jerry Jones knows he's trying to light a fire under the guy. We'll see. Now, if it backfires and they lose Michael Parsons, well, then good for us, because the Cowboys would be the laughing stock of the league, letting that guy walk, being the superstar athlete that he is. Now, I don't know. Maybe there's some behind-the-scenes issues. Who knows? But to me, every year we talk about it. It seems like every year we talk about, will they get this done? Will they get that done? And they usually end up getting it done, whether it was Treylon Diggs paying him, making him the highest-paid cornerback, whether it was Zeke Elliott in the year. I mean, they're saying he's disrespectful, but you know what happens. He'll go out and he'll say, you know what, I'll show you, and goes off and has 20 sacks next season, Not that I'm wanting to have 20 sacks, but, I could easily see him being defensive player of the year and be like, all right, now pay me. What? Now you're going to have to pay me higher than Myles Garrett. So, we'll see how it plays out. He's a guy that I'm very fond of. If the Cowboys want to let go of him, I'd say, you know what, I'd trade you Brian Burns for him in a heartbeat. That's how good Michael Parsons is. He's a game wrecker. I don't know why they take him off the field, to be quite frank with you. There's sometimes I'm watching him and he has his helmet off, and I'm like, why are you letting him not wreck the game? Because I think what's going to put him in I know he had 10 sacks a year. I shouldn't be too nitpicky, but when you talk about a great defender, usually you want them on the field all the time, right? Or at least the majority of the plays. And there'll be drives that he'll take off. There'll be like drives, the Giants go 10 plays, they didn't even check into the game. And then there'll be another drive, he won't check into the game. Then he'll come in like the third quarter or something like that after sitting for a majority of the second. And I get you want fresh legs, but this guy they didn't take LT off the field. I'm not comparing him to LT. My point is, Ray Lewis didn't come off the field. Guys like that can make impacts, you don't take off because they're the type of player that we talk about quarterbacks making a difference. Well, defensively, you can make a difference with a guy like him. He can be a guy that has a sack fumble, a turnover, right? You look at a guy like, not to flip to Myles Garrett, but you look at Myles Garrett. What does he do on that team? He gets 10 sacks a year. He's a disruptor. He helps them win games, and he helps facilitate that defense. They need Micah Parsons more than Micah Parsons needs the Dallas Cowboys. Micah Parsons can walk out the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow and be the highest paid player in the NFL like that. No doubt in my mind. So I think they'll get it done.
Well, we'll see, man. I mean, it'll be definitely in their best interest. I just think something dynamic about even the personality of Micah Parsons. I just feel like that this is something where you might have to really buckle down and take this negotiation a little more seriously. Jerry Jones, to me, doesn't seem to be taking them quite as serious as I feel like he should be with a player of Michael Parsons' status. I just don't think it's like, to me, it's nothing to even really. It's like, how do you not just pay this man? You already, like you just said, at any point in time he can wreck a game. At any point in time, the play can happen whenever. You know what I mean? That's the kind of talent that Michael Parsons has.
What are those called? Game changers?
I don't exactly. I just, and that's exactly what it is. So I just don't get. I don't understand the process right now, but it's stuff that's kind of way well beyond my rate. I don't know. I don't understand those.
Well, maybe he'll hold out. Maybe he'll be. The Cowboys need drama, right? So he's going to hold out this summer. Watch, because he has a weak coach. His coach is Brian Schottenheimer. He's not going to. Brian Schottenheimer needs that guy. So I'm sure we'll hear about the Micah Parsons holdout, and maybe he won't. Maybe he'll surprise us all and come in. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, "Yo, pay me. I'm not coming in. You need me, so just pay him."
Yeah, and
just pay him.
As far as like the Commanders, they don't have a lot of Commanders stuff going on too much that I know much about. They haven't had much going on in the last couple of weeks, but clearly you see what they put focus on off season thus far is putting more weapons around their young quarterback Jaden Daniels. Man, now they know they have their guy, like we've been talking about extensively through this show, is getting your guy. They have that. They know they have that in Jaden Daniels, and they're trying to build around him, and they've been just doing a lot of moves, especially throughout the free agency period, just to continue to build that offense. So, and rumors swirling about. There's been some rumors swirling. I've seen some articles. They're possibly looking to even potentially maybe offer Baltimore a little trade offer to Mark Andrews. I read a couple articles about that. So they're still continuing to try to build around this young quarterback, man. And I would think that they're going to focus heavily defensively in the draft, but we'll see how that goes about in April. I don't know if you have any more thoughts on Washington at all, but
I think they're doing what they need to do, right? And that's what we're talking about. That's what we've been talking about with the Giants and other teams. You get your own quarterback, now you can start to build, and they've done some good things. Deebo Samuels, as we spoke about. They got Luke McCaffrey that they hope that has a breakout. They have Terry McLaurin. They're going to patch up their offensive line. We forget that they still have draft picks that they can still enhance this team with as well, right? And, I know I know that there's a bullseye on their back, and we'll see how they respond. And having a young quarterback allows you to be in games, and he changed the whole tune. I mean, look at what we talk about C.J. Stroud, what he did. He still made the playoffs last year. He didn't have a great year, but sometimes defenses figure you out. Go figure, right? I mean, so now we'll see if C.J. Stroud can get over that hump in terms of getting figured out, and we'll see if Jaden Daniels can seem to figure some things out as well and keep his team relevant, right? If he has a down year, are we going to throw him out with the bathwater? No, because development still needs to happen as well. But if I'm a Commander fan, I'm excited for this. I'm the first time in a long time. If I'm a Commander fan, I'm more excited than I was last year. Last year I was excited, new quarterback, knew everything. Now I'm like, wow. Are we really contenders? Let's go find out, you know.
Absolutely, man. It's as far as that team in Philly, man, they're still good. Still a good football team, but and as far as they go, man, look, probably the biggest news with them right now. Obviously, this whole tush push discussion, man. Let them have it, Adam. Good, bro.
Stop with the tush push stuff, man. You sound like bitter babies. Just stop the play. I mean, the Buffalo Bills did the same play. They couldn't execute it, and it cost them. I mean, technically they got it if you replay it, but I mean, the semantics. You know, like what are you going to ban the quarterback sneak? It's essentially a quarterback sneak with a couple guys that push you. Okay, the Eagles' offense is built the way it's built. You want to stop the Eagles? Stop their offense. And right now, it's shelved or tabled or whatever you want to put on it. And I think it's the Lions who are complaining about it. Some team, go F yourself if I'm the Eagles.
It was the Packers.
Packers. Okay, great. Why? Because the Packers got beat down twice by the Eagles. So like, oh, we don't need the tush. Give me a break. Give me a break. Like, play football. Oh, it's a rugby scrum. Well, guess what? They hit harder in rugby than they do in the NFL. Okay, and this little tush push thing. Well, why don't you go study rugby and see how they stop the scrum? And maybe you'll learn a lesson. And I'm sure once the defensive coordinators can figure out how to stop it, this won't be a friggin' problem. Okay, it was like the Wildcat. Oh, should we do the Wildcat? Like, okay, we couldn't stop the Wildcat. Guess what? People figured it out. Figure it out. You shouldn't stop a team from doing something good because you can. It's like, oh, we should stop the greatest show on turf from scoring touchdowns because they're so good at scoring touchdowns. Well, let's stop them from throwing touchdowns. Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, let's stop them from throwing passes to their receivers because it's we can't win. Like, it's one. How many plays a game is a tush push? 4 or 5? Like, okay, stop them. It's been stopped. Other teams have done it and haven't run it to the same effectiveness, and it's stopped. Maybe study the tape. Figure out a way to stop it. All I have to say is you sound like a baby in the NFL that you're crying over a play that's called the tush push. Of all plays in the history of plays to be even in the competition committee's wheelhouse. Like, how are you going to take a play? How are you going to really take a play out of the game called the tush push? Like, really? Like, let's take it out of the game. Like, how do you know when it's going to be enforced? People tush push all the time. I see it across the NFL. Guys running in the back of players as a scrum to get a pile up. Give me a break. It's part of the love of the game that we love to see the scrum, to see if they can stop it. Hell, do people not forget in 2007, the Commanders were at the 1 yard line and they were running the ball in and it was a scrum at the line. And if it wasn't for a tackle by the linebacker that tripped the running back up, that game may be different. What if they had the tush push? They probably are in the game. They probably score, but they didn't have it then. Don't take away an effective play because you don't know how to stop it. You're an NFL coach. You get paid millions of dollars. Figure out how to stop it. Maybe go over to a rugby team and ask them, how would you stop this play? Learn about it. Then be the team that pioneers on how to stop it. Because guess what? It shouldn't be taken out of the game. It's something that they do effectively, and they've done it the last 4 or 5 years. So, safety reasons. That's the reason you're going to get rid of the tush push. Safety reasons, yet you want to bring the kickoff out of the end zone. Go figure. You want people to run the kickoff back, but you want to take away the tush push. Ask the people in rugby how the scrums happen. How many injuries do I see in rugby scrums? Not many. Not many. You know why? Because it's a controlled environment. It's not like some guy is coming at you, careening at you 90 miles an hour. You're going to control the. It's strength on strength. Your bigs versus my bigs. Who's going to be? It's like tug of war. Who's going to be better? Safety concerns. Officially for safety concerns.
Look, here's the thing.
That's the dumbest rule I've ever seen.
Yeah, here's my look. They this safety stuff. Look, here's my problem. And this is my problem with the NFL in general. As my biggest one, football is a dangerous game. So look, I'm not saying people should be out there headhunting anybody. I'm not saying out there clothesline joking like they was doing back in the 60s and shit like that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying football is a dangerous game. You know what you're signing up for. You know, you're not, it's not, and you learn how to play the game a certain way. And all the safety this and safety that, this is why these guys get paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. Give me a fucking break. You know it is a collision sport. You want to stop it? You want to complain about the tush push? Like Adam just said, just stop it. Just stop it. Just find a way to stop it or shut the fuck up. Almost every team has a variation of the tush push at this point now, has some kind of variation. But no one can execute it like the Eagles do. That's just what the bottom line is. We want to really put this on the table. That shouldn't even be on the table. To me, that's just a waste of time and energy. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're talking about in league meetings? Let's talk about defenders can put a finger on a quarterback anymore without getting a roughing a passer penalty. Let's talk about that. Talking about something making that's not fair or that's unreasonable. Like, give me a break, man. Safety, all this safety shit is out of control for me, man. Football's a dangerous game. You learn it's a collision sport, and that's what it is. You want to play football? There's a good strong chance you could get hurt. That's just what it is. Like I said, I'm not saying anything crazy like that, but you got to understand that what you always sign up for when you come to play this football game, man. And that's how I feel about it. That to me, it shouldn't even be a point of discussion. It's a play. They execute very well. You don't like it, so be it. I mean, like you said, it's just sour grapes to me as far as I'm concerned. You're just mad because you can't stop it. And to me, that's not acceptable. There's no reason to take away something that they do well because you're just mad because you can't stop it. And try to use up the excuses about safety this and safety that. Look, I'm looking. I don't like to see people necessarily get hurt and whatnot. But at the end of the day, football is a violent game. It's a dangerous game, and it is what it is. Like I said, I'm that says this is why you get paid all that money. I mean, look at everything you do. All this negotiation with this. Guys can't even hit anymore in practice. Like, you can't even hit anymore in practice. Like I said, that's why everything is so the way you see. That's why you see the shitty tackling you see league wide, especially in the early parts of the year. Like, you guys, what are you doing in training camp? Not hitting nobody, not tackling. Your body's not conditioned for getting hit. So you get all this sloppy football. That's what all this shit you're doing is kind of. To me, it's more or less, it ruins the game a little bit. Just stop. Just let these guys play. Let coaches coach. Let players play, and stop being so technical about everything. I'm not saying let guys poke people in the eyes, kind of craziness like that. There, like I said, clothesline and jokers, but shit, it's football. Let them play football the way that football is meant to be played. And if the Eagles do that tush push so well, big way to stop it. Point blank and period. Stop crying about it. But that's really all I got on the tush push. I just feel like it's a joke that they're even discussing this in league meetings. But like you said, it's been tabled, and I'm sure nothing's going to come about it. So the tush push will be in full effect in 2025. So figure out a way to stop it. know if you got anything else Adam, before we get up out of here.
You said it best, Mac. This is a violent game. Let's keep it that way. Might as well put skirts on him and just, play two-hand touch.
Yeah, I mean that's what it seems like it's leaning to, flag football or something. Like, it's ridiculous. Huh?
The UFL is going to take over.
I did want to say one more thing before we get up out of here. Not football related whatsoever, but one of the great actors of my generation, at least, unfortunately passed away yesterday. Man, Val, man, guy did a lot of great stuff. Man. Great movies. Actually played Batman, and actually played Batman once. And
Yes.
other great roles throughout his career.
Iceman and Top Gun.
Yeah, he's been suffering for a long time. And he finally did succumb yesterday, unfortunately, on April the 1st, man. So I just wanted to say rest in peace to Val Kilmer, condolences to him, to his family and friends, and that man was well loved, man, well respected in Hollywood, man, and he's had a great career. Like I said, a lot of great movies. One of my favorite movies that people don't talk about enough, The Saint. Back in the day, man, look. I think Val Kilmer's just been tremendous. He was a tremendous guy, a tremendous actor, man, and seemed to be a pretty phenomenal human being, man, from what I could see, at least anyway. And so just rest in peace. Just wanted to acknowledge that, man. Another great legend, man, has passed away, unfortunately. So
it's sad, because he's been in a lot of movies that we know. And like you said, I did see a documentary on him recently that was kind of illustrating his illness and what he's been doing. And you don't realize how many movies he was in and, how many different things he was a part of. And like you said, Batman, I guess Batman Forever, he will live forever in that movie. Good fitting title now. And he was also in The Saint. And many people remember him as Iceman from Top Gun, which he was also a part of. One of his last roles was not only was he in the 80s one, but he's also in the remake as well. So it just, he left us too soon, but, he'll always be remembered. And that was a good one too. The Saint is a solid movie. It really is. You go back and watch it. It really is a dope movie. They didn't get the right publicity. I don't think they marketed it correctly.
Yeah, I love the movie myself personally. I loved it. I thought it was so cool. But I meant to actually bring it up at the top of the show. I got to go right into Giants. But yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot of great roles, man. Great roles, man. Doc Holliday, man. Doc Holliday, my guy. Man.
A lot of iconic villainous roles, right?
All right, everybody. Sorry, I didn't mean to, oh man, I'll be wanting to watch some Val Kilmer now.
There you go. Let's go. I'm gonna go look some up right now.
But everybody, like I said, we'd probably back in a couple more weeks when we get closer to the draft again. We'll probably be, talking about some things, man. I definitely plan on probably do a stream maybe the first round of the draft night too. Just Giants have such a high pick. I'll probably do a live stream that night as well.
Wow. Maybe I'll pop in before the Giants pick.
Absolutely.
I'd appreciate it. I like to. I'm kind of a recluse when it comes like that. I like to be alone and watch the draft by myself and not be bothered. But if you're gonna do a stream, we might as well get our live reactions together on whether they pick a quarterback or not. And never did anything like that before, so we'll see. Maybe I'll pop in. If I can't pop in before, I'll pop in after. At some point, I'll pop in and we'll chat about that Giant pick. And maybe see one of the other NFC East teams, depending on how far you go in the first round. If you're streaming the entire show, or if you're streaming until you fall asleep or whatnot. But there's a long. You got 32 picks, man, and you got like there's one in every. I think there's one in the top 10, one in the top 15 to 20, one in the top 20, and then obviously 32. So it's kind of funny when you think about it.
Yeah, I'll definitely probably be doing that for sure. I'm off work on Thursday nights. So, and we'll definitely, after that, we'll probably be regular again after that. Start schedule release and all that good stuff, and then get the OTAs and stuff like that. There'll be things to talk about. So, we'll definitely get back rolling regular in the next few weeks or so. But we probably won't be back again to y'all for another couple of weeks or so. And hope y'all continue to come support. We appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, man. Appreciate the love.
It was a great show.
Make sure y'all sub up to go ahead to add channel, add on this and sub up, hit that subscribe button, hit the like on the stream. On my channel, do the same thing. Appreciate the Giants fan. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Go to Hardcore Sports also, and if you subscribe, hit the button if you haven't already, man. We definitely appreciate the support. I am Mac the Giants fan. This is my guy, super dope co-host Adam Costas, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks, man. Hey! I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MacDa Giants Fan.